Did you hit it? Hi. Oh, there we are. I'm so glad that you're all used to me starting on time now. I don't have to ring the bell anymore. So, welcome to Spring 2023, Week 9, and the topic tonight is rolling out and trigger point. And I just want to first say congratulations and good job to all there are quite a few bobcats and cheetahs, thanks. Bobcats and cheetahs, and correct me if there was anybody else that did a portion of Eugene. Either the 5K, was there also a 10K? No. Okay, so 5K, half marathon, and full marathon. So I just got to say that even though this Princess Steps, generally speaking, is geared more toward 5K, 10K, with the exception of the Tigers who are walking a half marathon, there have become, over the last few years, quite a few participants who have been inspired to do a half marathon or even a full marathon, and are in this clinic. And so even though the clinic isn't necessarily geared specifically and technically workout-wise toward those distances, a lot can be learned in the clinic that applies to that distance. And so I'm really, because I used to be kind of like almost protective of those people and saying, no, what are you doing? You have to do 5Ks and 10Ks for 3 years first or something, build up your foundation, build up your base, and that kind of thing. But as time has progressed, it's become very, very apparent that a lot, like I said, can be gained from all the topics that we review here, from shoes to bra fitting to injury prevention, effort, and all that kind of stuff. And so I just want to say congratulations, and now you are in recovery mode, okay? And that does apply and is a good segue to what I'm going to talk about, recovery. One of the things, as John and I have coached over so many years, various distances and ability levels and that kind of thing, one of the main things is, on the one hand, the too much, too soon, too fast, which you've heard me talk about that, and now. Another part of that is not taking enough time to recover after an event. That's a very, very common thing that people do because, maybe they're feeling a little sore the first day or 2 or 3 or something like that, and then they start to feel better, and they think after a week they're fully recovered because they're feeling okay and they can go and do stuff. But truly at the cellular level, our body isn't fully recovered after a half marathon until about 2 weeks. And yes, oh my goodness. So, and that's something a lot of people don't know. And so part of recovery could be what I'm going to go through tonight, which is rolling out with trigger point stuff. And some of this stuff I'm going to use the grid to demonstrate. And then I have some other adult toys here, trigger point toys. And I say that because we have, very tiny customers coming in here that look at this and they think, oh, that's a toy. Of course they would think. A 2-year-old would think this is a toy. So that's why I said adult toys, because it's something that we can still have. I know you're laughing, but they'll throw it, and then I get my safety committee hat on and think somebody's going to trip over that. It's not really a toy. So sometimes when little kids come in, I feel like I have to go hide the trigger point stuff, the box. But anyway, enough of that intro. to have fun. Two of the most important things about rolling out, and what we're doing with rolling out as opposed to stretching, is we're increasing elasticity. Okay, so some of you have heard me say this analogy, but some of you haven't. And I had to have that gentle reminder that, Susan, not everybody has heard you talk before. Because I get a little self-conscious. Oh, they've heard this before. Oh, they've heard this 3 times before. But think of your muscles as, instead of beef jerky, because that's what they get like. And I apologize to all the vegans here, but think of beef jerky and how tight. What's going to happen to beef jerky when you try and stretch it? Yeah, it could break, it could snap, not good. Now, I'm not saying that's what your muscles are going to do, but on the other hand, think of, here I go again, rare steak, you know, and you're tenderizing it, and you want it to be nice and supple, and so anyway, the difference between flexibility and elasticity, flexibility is, okay, I can just do this, but elasticity is, think bungee cord. So you want your muscles to be more like bungee cord, not beef jerky. That's the image I want to have you go for. Not quite toys, but so what's really, really important is not how hard you go when you roll on these tools. It's how much you breathe and relax. So the combination of your body weight on the tools, along with breathing and relaxing, is going to be the key to effectiveness of rolling out, aside from the knowledge of how to do it technique-wise. So anybody here that has gone to a massage therapist in any way, shape, or form, if you tense up, they're not going to be able to get in and do the work, correct? So if you relax, that allows that therapist to get in there and loosen things up more effectively. Same thing if you were going, you know, think when you were a little kid and you have to have a shot for something and you tense up. That's not really going to help. So you want to breathe and relax. And so I'm going to start off with the lower foot and ankle, which is what I usually do, because so much of problems up in the hip area are related to things going on down here. And how many people have had or have heard of plantar fasciitis?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, a lot. There's a whole poster up there. It's like an epidemic still. So one of the things with plantar fasciitis that is, let's say, conventional, is you got to just stretch your calves. And so it'd be something like this, stretching your calves or rolling the bottom of your foot on an ice bottle, so you're getting it iced and rolling it. Okay, that's great. But that doesn't really do anything to address the beef jerky that's in the lower part of the calf. So if you can glance over to that poster over there, those of you over on this side probably can't quite see it, but you'll see the red part on the bottom of the heel where the insertion is, but it's the muscles in the lower leg that come around the inside of the ankle and insert at the heel area. That those muscles there are part of the reason why there's so much tension at the heel area, okay? And so what we're going to do here is we're going to address that area specifically, and here's the technique. So you have your foot on just like this, and you're just going to do a knee raise, and if that's tender, then that, you know, but tolerable, that's the guideline, tender but tolerable, that's how you're going to do it. If you can put your other foot on top here just to create a little bit more pressure, but I'm not pushing it, I'm just placing it there. And you're going to do this type of a technique for 8 to 10 repetitions with your foot and ankle in a relaxed position, not tensed like this, but relaxed, focusing on breathing. If that's not tolerable because there's more tenderness in there than you thought, then you take your top leg off. And so after 6 to 8 repetitions in that position, You would do some circles one way, circles the other way, to increase blood flow and oxygen to the area that you just rolled out. And then you would follow that with internally rotating the leg to get that very posterior tibialis, which is one of the major culprits. And then repeat the 8 to 10 repetitions, slowly, breathing, relaxing, followed by 2 circles one way, 2 circles the other way. And then the third position, which is externally rotated. That one kills you. Well, then you would take the top leg off and do it. Or you could, if that's still too tender, you could use something like this. And then you can grade how much pressure just by your arms. But this is sometimes harder. You can do it this way too. It's the same basic concept, but with a different tool. And so now you're using your arms, and you have to have enough hip mobility and, you know, be able to do this. Okay, you can do it like this too, but the idea is that this is completely relaxed. Okay, another method, this might be a little too intense. So another method would be like this. It's again the same concept, but a little more gentle because it's a bigger surface area and it's a softer tool than this one that's more intense. Okay, and this one, if you've got this and then you do this and you think, well, I could still do a little bit more, then you could come up like this and have it be a little bit more intense. And but basically you want to do 8 to 10 repetitions this position followed by the circles, 8 to 10 repetitions this position followed by the circles, and then 8 to 10 repetitions in this position followed by the circles. And then you can also do a little back and forth like this. You can also do a little what I call human touch and just massage the heck out of your foot. But I like to do any massaging and any stretching, I like to do it after I roll out and loosen things up a little bit. Because if you don't loosen it up first, then it's going to be super tight. If you loosen it up a little bit, then it's going to be not so tight. Remind me, in the first or second session, did we do this part? Did we do this thing?
I don't remember it.
Not this time.
Okay. Well, this might be a good time to do that then and have a little audience participation. So let's stand up. Let's stand up. You can leave it there. It's just going to go on me. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so what you're going to do is ever so gently, without forcing it, just reach forward as though you're going to touch your toes, but don't force it. Just come back up, just kind of take note where you were. Okay? And then let's try this. Just try to do a gentle stretch like this where you keep your back heel flat on the floor. You're not bouncing, you're just holding it. It's just where you feel a gentle stretch. And then come back and try the other one. Okay, we're just stretching our calves a little bit. Okay, now let's try that reach towards your toes again. Okay, now come back up. And just take note of where that was. Okay, now, this time, sit back down. This time what I'm going to have you do, whether you're on the floor or sitting on a chair, take your knuckles and rub the bottom of your calf, starting about just above your Achilles, and up to about almost mid-calf. And just lower, Courtney, lower, yeah. You're doing the lower part of your calf, okay? Good, and then do some circles. Now switch to the opposite side. Breathe, don't hold your breath. And then you can even just take the heel of your hand like this and even do it this way. Okay, now stand up again. March in place a little bit. Okay, now reach for your toes. Wow, yeah. Okay, you can sit back down again. So what most people noticed and were saying wow about is how much further they were able to reach. We didn't even work on the hamstrings, but everything's connected. Everything's connected. But you can see with that little bit of self-massage in a specific area, how that changed your ability to be a little more efficient. Okay? So, another part of trigger point for the calf, the lower leg, is to put that ball. This is a trigger point ball. It's not as hard as a lacrosse ball, not as hard as a golf ball, but firmer than a tennis ball. Okay, so you want some firmness, but you don't want it so hard that you can't have when you put your body weight on it and roll around, that you don't have what we call tissue adaptation, because a golf ball and a cross ball can be pretty hard. So anyway, we're going to put this, now you can see it's more higher up on my calf. And so I'm actually going to do 1, 2, 3 slaps, and that's with my legs straight. And if that's very tolerable, then and you want a little more, you can put the other leg on top. And 1, 2, 3. And so when you do those slaps, the ball is penetrating through the superficial muscles to the deeper muscles. Okay? And it's another way that you can loosen things up, because face it, we would all love to go to a massage therapist every week, right? But we don't all have that ability to do that. So there's another one of my all-time favorite. It's called pinning. And that's where you can take 2 trigger point balls, put 1 on the bottom, 1 on the top, and just, I'm not pushing hard on, I'm just gently leaning forward, but I'm going to an area of tenderness, and that's a trigger point, an area of tenderness, and I'm rolling the ball very slowly in about the size of a pea or a dime. And I'm just rolling it and breathing until I feel a release, and a release is where that tension, I can feel that tension go away. And then I'm going to put it to another area. And this is called pinning, which is probably one of my favorite, because I can grade how much pressure I'm putting, and I can also go to a very, very specific spot and work on that. And I realize I might be making it look easy because I've been doing it for a long time. But the thing is once you learn how to do this and you have the tools and you learn how to do it, you really are empowered to not only prevent injury, but have awareness of what areas of your body are tense and how to do something to prevent that from getting worse. Okay, and that's what's a pretty awesome thing about trigger point and rolling out. Then there's another one for the front here. Anybody ever have tension here? Sometimes. So you can either take this ball and roll it up like this on the outside of your leg here, or you can put it in an area and just rotate your foot up like this, and you can feel it, because that's a hard place to stretch. But this is a way that you can really get after it. Let's see. I'm going to move from the lower leg, and of course you would want to do the same thing on the opposite side, but for purposes of this, we're going to go to here. And I'll start with this one. So we're going to work the front of the leg and then the corner. We're not going to go directly on the IT band, because a lot of people who have IT band problems, and IT band syndrome, by the way, is people feel pain on the outside of their knee, right here, kind of just below and to the outside of the knee. Pain here. The culprit is usually tension up in the hip area, okay? So for those of you that sit a lot for work, it's kind of hard when you sit a lot and then you go out and run after prolonged sitting. There's a lot of tension in the hip. And so what we're going to do to loosen that up is we're going to go the front and the corner. even 2 passes on the corner, but not directly on the IT band, because that could actually aggravate the IT band syndrome. And so with this method, it's going to be sort of kind of like plank. And oh, that's what for my bony knees. Okay, so we're going to start just above the knee. And we're in this kind of plank position. And I'm going to do baby rocking motions. Okay, so a lot of people think for rolling out, you're just going to like roll the whole leg, right? But what I'm encouraging you to do is baby rocking motions. And then as I roll down the mat, the tool is going to go up my quad. And these are just baby rocking motions in this plank position. So you're getting a little core work. And when you get to an area of tension, there's a couple of bonus moves. You can do a hamstring curl and then wave your foot back and forth like this, or you can do another one called scrubbing. And yeah, that's going to intensify the tenderness, but it's a way to really get in there and work it out. And so then you're going to roll with these baby rocking motions all the way to the hip, about right to there, and then tap it back. And I'll demonstrate the same basic technique with the grid, because it's just a little bit, tends to be a little bit more gentle, but also it's a little higher up than the trigger point tool. But now, so see how when I did the first time, my hips are parallel to the floor? Now my hips are going to be at about a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to do the same technique. So before it was on the front, it was the rectus femoris. Now it's on what's called the vastus lateralis. That's that bigger muscle in your leg that works a lot when you walk and run. And so the same basic technique, breathe, relax, breathe, relax. If you feel some tension, your butt tightening up, just stop and try to loosen it. About 2/3 of the way up on this 45-degree angle, there's about 99% of the time there's active trigger point, an area of tenderness. And so that's where you want to maybe focus a little bit more and be patient. And then sometimes you can feel little bumps, and you can feel those bumps smoothing out. And that's a good thing. And then again, you roll all the way up to there. So that's the lower leg and the upper leg, the quads. And then we're going to roll on the piriformis, which is going to be like this. And you want to go into this motion, which is abduction and external rotation, and do this kind of a motion. Those of you that can see the poster over there that says Piriformis Syndrome, there's a muscle on your butt, kind of where your back pocket would be if you were wearing blue jeans, and that's the technique that we're doing. The illustration there is with a ball on the butt, and this is kind of the same thing. Or you can use this ball. And so I like to just start with kind of where the back pocket would be if you were wearing blue jeans, and work that a little bit. And then sometimes you can just explore the butt, literally, with the ball to see where there's more tension and loosen it up. And you can also use the smaller ball if you want it to be a little more specific and direct. And you can grade how much tension. Like I'm putting pressure on my hands and my feet. You can grade how much tension. You might want to start with most all your body weight on your hands and your feet until you're used to it, and then have gradual weight onto the ball or whatever tool you're using. And that's another thing once you learn the technique. And then you can roll on and do the same thing on the other side. Now, the psoas, and again, those of you that can't see it, you can come over and see it or see it on your way out. But the psoas is a muscle that connects your lower vertebrae, goes through your pelvis, and connects onto the femur. And when that muscle is tight, it can really wreak havoc on your lower back, on your hamstrings. And so if a massage therapist was doing a psoas release, you're going to be in this position, and they're going to come from the top, and they're going to release it in this way. But if we're releasing it ourselves, the technique, at least this technique, is to put the ball in the right area, just about an inch away from the belly button, actually. And then you're going to slowly, and you can kind of see it's not really cheating, it's a way to find it. Like, how do you know? So if you can see me gently going forward and backward, and then side to side, where you feel the tenderness is your psoas. And then what you're going to do is breathe, and I'm going to pull my hands and forearms toward me, simultaneous with the big breaths. And I can literally feel that psoas releasing. I can feel it's like massaging the psoas. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And sometimes you'll feel it more on one side than the other. And so that's the psoas release. Checking my time here. And then there's one more I'm going to show you. And that is how many times do you get neck and shoulder discomfort or tension? A lot. Every day. Yeah. Scooping that horse shit, right? Shirley does that for a job. Or volunteering, actually. Yeah. Horse stalls. Or doing computer work or anything you're doing in front of you. Sometimes what happens is we get this forward shoulder roll, or we get tired and we slouch. So what we really want to do is release the tension here in the front, because when we're doing this, these are the muscles that get tight. So we want to loosen these muscles up, which is going to release the tension back here. And so you can do this kind of a method right here, rolling that ball on your pec and towards your armpit, or you can even take the block, put it on the ball, and then you have leverage. So you're not using your arms and shoulders so much to roll. And then you can also take that ball and put it right here on the that little knot that's up there. So there's so much awesome stuff. When I've done this presentation before, I try to combine it with a breathing exercise and stretching in addition to the rolling out. And I just wanted to give you a little more thorough explanation and review of trigger point and rolling out. And so now I'll take 90 seconds. But the breathing part, I cannot express how important that is, express enough. But there is the breathing exercise I usually review is described in this week's update for week 9. And so go ahead and review that. If you want a one-on-one demonstration and explanation, come hit me up sometime during the week, and I'll be happy to review it with you. Also, people always say, what about stretching? What about stretching? Well, stretching's great, but I just encourage you to experiment with some rolling out first before you stretch, and then definitely do some stretching. You know, some of my favorites are the knee to chest, and of course the hamstring, and this one here is excellent. So, and then the calf stretch that I showed you, there's a lot of stretches you can do. And again, you can feel free to hit me up. Quad stretches, there's one that's actually, you can do on the floor like this, or you can do it standing up. The main thing about stretching is stretch to a gentle stretch, not to pain. If you stretch to the point of pain, or if you bounce, that's not a good thing. So one more thing, I did make the virtual Princess Steps 5K, 10K half live. So I'm going to send out another update probably tomorrow morning that is like supplemental. it's not really the week 10 because the real week 10 topic is nutrition. So nutrition is the topic for next week, but I'm going to send a supplemental email that talks all about Princess Steps 5K, 10K. So I encourage everybody to sign up, and it is on Saturday, May 20th, or Sunday, May 21st. To get that, 20th or 21st, and it's virtual. So if you're in Kentucky, you can do it in Kentucky, but it has to be on one of those 2 days. There is a 5K route and a 10K route right in Riverfront Park that you're going to be darn familiar with because we go there every Tuesday. A lot of you have done it before, and just a reminder, I think I said it in week 1, it's traditional for Princess Steps to have a focus event towards the end. And we used to have one here local, but it stopped after COVID and hasn't come back. So I created the virtual one to maintain that tradition. I feel it's very, very important to celebrate your fitness level, celebrate all the work that you've done by doing an event. And if you want to do a different event on that day, you can still submit your time. So you have to still register and submit your time. And then I believe Ultra is going to raffle off a couple more pairs of shoes. So there are prizes involved, but it's free to register. And it's also open to the public. So if you have friends, relatives, coworkers, whatever that want to also do it, that's fine. It's free, but you don't get a t-shirt, you don't get a medal. It's more the intrinsic part of signing up for an event, doing it. And I do encourage everyone too to wear the bright pink on that day, because in the past, a lot of people do it near the same time on Saturday morning or Sunday morning. Wear bright pink, do the high fives, take a follow-up picture. More bonus points for the drawing if you submit a after picture, that kind of thing. So let's see, I think I covered that. But all the details are in the email that I'm going to send out tomorrow.
Breathe. Yeah. Take your breath.
Yeah. Any questions?
I do. When you went over the psoas release, and you said you could feel it release, or you could feel it, do you feel it here, or do you feel it in the back?
I feel it here.
Okay. Even though it's a back issue, you feel it?
Yeah, because it's coming. I'm accessing it through here.
Okay.
I'm accessing it right here. Yeah, good question. Anything else?
I wish I did more of that stretching out, but what I'm doing lately is I've got a plastic bag with tennis balls in it, and I sit in it when I drive.
That's awesome, Teddy.
Yeah, and you can move it around to whatever.
A plastic ball with tennis balls. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. The other one I wanted to show, one last thing. This is also one of my favorite ones. Is with this, you can also do your lower back like this. Yeah. And it's so good. It is so unbelievable. Okay, see you all next week. Bye.